Right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to get started. Sorry for being a minute or two late this morning. I am going to talk today about thread style posts. This is a relatively new trend. Most likely you've seen it on your own Facebook. If you spend any time on the platform at all, it's been pretty popular and kind of gaining more and more adoption in the algorithm over the last month or two. So, these posts are really, I would say, the number one thing that the algorithm is really favoring right now. They're personally not my favorite, and they may not be yours either. But from a visibility standpoint and an engagement standpoint, they are extremely valuable. The reason being that it creates more engagement with your posts and it encourages saves and things like that. So the algorithm is really favoring them right now. And so I'm going to walk you through kind of best practices, how to do them. I'm also going to show you live how you can schedule them because that's kind of a neat little trick that's not widely publicized, but there is a way to do it. So it's not so manual. So I'll walk you through all of that and we'll talk about kind of best practices and how to leverage this to kind of grow your own Facebook visibility and engagement. Um, let's talk first about what they are and why they're so powerful. Again, the algorithm is heavily favoring them. That's probably point number one. The second point is that really what anchors these posts and what makes them so valuable to your audience is that they are usually anchored around like a hero post. So something that is going to hook your audience, draw their attention in, and promise them some kind of value. That is really what obviously you want your audience to get from your posts is that value and that knowledge. So these posts really kind of work into that essential framework, and particularly for business engagement, giving somebody an outcome and a promise is really important and really important for building trust with your audience. It also essentially leverages your hero post and then numbered comments. I say tap out at no more than 7. I think the sweet spot is more like 4 to 5. I have seen some that go as far as 10 to 15. I think that's a little overdone, particularly for a business account. But, typically we're seeing like 4 to 7 numbered comments. And so what that does is that's driving up your engagement. Even if they're your own comments, it looks like the post is getting a lot of engagement and that's bumping it up in the algorithm. And then it also is increasing the amount of time that somebody spends on that post, right? They've got to look at your hook and then they've got to read through the comments often. And I'll talk about the numbering sequence here in a minute, but often they have to kind of sort through your numbers. So they kind of have to go, okay, that's number 1. And then maybe number 3 is down here. And I'll talk about why that is. But that comment depth and that time that they're spending kind of sorting out what you're saying, that just increases the engagement time on your profile and on your post. And that, again, is wildly favored in the algorithm. It also, because it's compiling a lot of information kind of broken up into different sections, it naturally leads to people saving that post. If you're, teaching them something in steps or you're walking through a case study, they're likely to save that to come back to it. And those saves are again something that is a big signal to Meta and Facebook that hey, this post has value, this account has value. So you want people saving those. And then you can also, we'll talk about keyword triggers and how to put those in these posts as well. And that encourages more comments, more DMs. So again, that engagement, that's what Meta is looking for. That's why they prioritize you in the algorithm. So these thread posts essentially all really play into what Meta wants. So whether or not you find them annoying to read, to post, it is a really powerful tool in our toolbox right now. And that's kind of why. All right. So we're going to talk about kind of the anatomy of a high performing thread and what each kind of piece of that is. So the first one, again, that hero caption. You want to immediately hook your audience in, promise a specific outcome or promise a checklist or a resource, something like that, to hook them in so that they're going to naturally look at the next couple of comments. Then the numbered comment format. No matter what you do, and I have played with this personally every which way, I've seen everybody else try to play with it every which way, whether you post the comments backwards, forwards, in order, Facebook is going to rearrange them. There's really nothing you can do about that. And part of that is just the way their algorithm favors it. So if one comment is getting, longer lag time, they're going to push it to the top. The other is how people sort them. So you probably know in your own, comment filters, or even, on your page, you can sort by like most relevant, newest first, things like that. So depending on how someone has it sorted is how it's going to show up. So there's truly nothing you can do to control the order in which they're going to appear. So it's extremely important to number each post so that it's clear how they should read through it, because it's very possible. And you can pin a comment at the top. So I usually say like pin either your next comment after the hook, pin that to the top, or if you're doing something like a DM for a checklist or something like that, maybe pin that comment, the most important one. But otherwise, you're at the mercy of Facebook. So it's important to clearly number those 1 through 5, 1 through 7, whatever you're doing, so that people can easily say, oh, okay, well, number 2 is at the top, but let me scroll down for number 1 and then look at 2 and then 3. Highly recommend doing the 1 dash out of 5. So as opposed to just like 1 point, because that way you're showing how many, you know, comments they're looking for, particularly if you are doing these live and you might be doing them every couple of minutes. You want to kind of show like, hey, I'm still posting these, I'm not done. So highly recommend kind of showing both the number of the post and the amount of posts that someone should expect. Then the reply chain structure. So you want to go again, like you want to reply to each comment, not necessarily a new comment for each. That is to try to maintain as much of the order as possible and to boost that algorithmic visibility on your posts. And then strategic keywords. We talked about these last week with Reels as well, but include a keyword call to action in both the hero and then again, maybe in the final comment, if not repeated multiple times. This is going to double your conversion opportunities. The more you remind people of that keyword, the more likely they are to adopt it. And we've talked about this before as well, but putting links directly in your content is often going to get it kind of bumped down in the algorithm. It does better in the comments than it would in the actual posts. But if you can use a keyword like comment guide to get my guide on blank, or DM me guide, if you can do that, and then I'll walk you through how you can automate that delivery as well. That is going to boost you higher in the algorithm because it's creating engagement as opposed to just sending them to a link off of Facebook. So that's kind of your ideal strategy if you can do it, is use that call to action keyword. And then again, native link handling. So you want to teach first, give value first, and then deliver your links. Absolutely. Like if you can avoid it, do not put that link in your top post, in the hero post. That is going to kind of immediately get you kind of red flagged by Facebook. The best way to maximize your reach there is give all your value and then give them some kind of action to take. DMing for a keyword, going to a link if you want to directly post the link, but try to keep that kind of buried after you've delivered all of your value. Strategic thread use cases. So this is not a type of post that I want you doing like every day or multiple times a day, certainly. You want to be strategic about this. I think 1 a week is more than sufficient. You could maybe do 2 if you find that they're high performing for your audience, but I really wouldn't go more than that. They are a little cumbersome to read through. And so I don't want you to kind of turn your audience off by making it difficult for them to get this information. Use it strategically. The top 4 ways I really like to see them used is, first of all, process teaching, right? Like breaking something down into steps and doing, the want to learn my system, read below. Step 1, step 2, walk them through each step. That's a really great use for these thread style posts. A case study breakdown, something like this client increased their conversions by doing blank. Watch our process below, and then break down, this is the problem they came to us with. This is how we fixed it. This is the action that happened. This is the takeaway. Break that down into credible steps, and that can be a really great use case for this as well. A resource drop is another great one. Nurture that resource drop. So want my blank, here's what you'll get. And then number 1, a template for this. Number 2, a checklist for this. Like give them each like thing they're going to get in that resource in kind of sequential order. And then at the end, that's where you drop that keyword for DM me guide for blank. That is a really great use of these thread style posts as well. And then event coverage. If you are maybe at speaking at a live event, or you are hosting something, hosting your own event, doing a thread style post like today's the day, and then number one, like getting ready to go on stage in 30 minutes. Number two, just finished, my speech. It went really great. Like kind of detailing your day one by one, or the takeaways from that event, is a really great use case for this as well. Make sure that like the type of post that you're using makes sense for this format. Otherwise, like if you're just spitting out, kind of one fact or a true or false type of post, that's probably better for a static graphic or a reel or something like that. Use these strategically so that they're not annoying to your audience, and that they deliver the value you want them to deliver. So this is kind of my 10-minute thread SOP, like how to knock one of these out in 10 minutes without it being overwhelming. First of all, pre-write everything, right? Like go through and map out your hook, your 1 through 5, 1 through 7, whatever it might be, and then your call to action. Map those out ahead of time. If you are going to use an auto DM, which I highly recommend versus trying to actually live DM somebody every time they comment something, first of all, you want that immediate delivery, right? Like if somebody asks for your guide, they probably don't want to wait 3 hours on it while you're at the dentist or you're on a call. They want it immediately. So that auto DM is really important because you can get it in their hands immediately, and that builds trust. Plus, it's convenient. We do that. I have a great workflow for that in BrandWave, which is our white label of GHL. It handles these beautifully, but there's other options. Other CRMs can do this as well. I know ManyChat does this very well. So depending on what you're using, figure out if you can auto trigger that send with a keyword, and then go ahead and set that up before you ever post this. Strategic posting, again, hero, hook first, and then stack your comments. You kind of ideally want them to come in like 2 to 5 minutes. I would say about 2 minutes is ideal part, right? Because you don't want to lose your audience. If somebody happens to catch it live and they catch the hook and then the first comment, I don't want them to have to sit there for 30 minutes waiting on parts 3, 4, and 5. So I like 2 minutes, but the reality is probably most people aren't going to see it in real time. You can get away with up to 5 minutes, but the speed matters both for the algorithm and for your user experience as well. And then seed engagement. We talked about this last week, but if you have friends or you have clients that are really engaged, or you have maybe an alliance, an engagement pod, like we talked about with Reels, if they can meaningfully comment in the first, hour, so to speak, or really the sooner the better, that's going to boost that post. So if you can get 1 or 2 people to get in there quickly and ask for that keyword, or just say, this was great information, thank you for sharing, something meaningful, that is really going to help, boost the visibility for this as well. And then monitor and respond. With one of these posts, I always want you to kind of try to watch the first hour really closely. This applies to LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn really favors engagement in the first hour. So try to schedule these when you can be in front of your computer, in front of your phone, and able to respond. Make sure your workflows are firing properly. Make sure that people are able to find, the comments number. Don't just kind of like post it and then walk away for hours. This is a really good use case of like making sure you're engaged with your audience once you post them. And then I made 3 templates here, and I won't like read them out to you one by one, but I did 3 different styles of the ways that you could do these. So the first one is a template for a tutorial thread. So this would be something like, I'm dropping my 5-step ads playbook. Start at 1 through 5, comment guide, and I'll DM my 1-pager on this. And then, step 1, state the end result. Step 2, focus, and step 2, 3, 4, focus on the actions, right? Like exactly what you want them to do. This is not the time for fluff. Do not give them paragraphs, short, easy to read. And then your final step, and make sure you kind of label it that way, like be specific that that's your final action to get the outcome that you've promised them. And then your very last comment, make that kind of your recap and then restate that call to action as well. So that's kind of what I would do for a template or a tutorial style one. Template 2. So this would be like a case study thread. So from before to after in 7 days, start 1 and see us walk you through the process. Again, like break this down into chunks, give them the context, give them the key lever, give them the concrete evidence and the results. And then give them kind of the framework, like what you would do to replicate for them. And then template 3. So this is your resource drop, right? This is your checklist, your guide. Tell them up front what you're giving them, why it's valuable, and then walk them through the contents, the scripting, all of the tools that are involved. And then at the end, give them that full access. Again, with that comment CTA trigger right there in a resource drop. So that's 3 different templates, 3 great use cases for posts like this. All right, so copy ready hooks, headers, prompts. These are hooks that convert. Steal my 5-step playbook from before to after. 15 minutes to fix blank. Proven comment headers. Why this works? Do this first. Common mistake. Quick checklist. Copy this. Engagement prompts too. So in addition to your comment threading and the 1 through 5, you could also start asking your questions in that comment thread. So then at the end, which step would you try first? What questions do you have? What's your sticking point? Those are all really valuable engagement kind of prompters that will convince people to come in there and answer you, which is only going to drive that engagement up a lot further. And then automation. So again, if you can automate your DM setup or your delivery via DM, do that. That is going to build trust. It's going to get it in their hands. And what you could also do is you'll have them put the keyword in. You will have them have it auto set up to deliver that, but then also back it up publicly. So set it so that it delivers the resource that they're asking for. And then also have it set to auto comment, like just send it to your DMs. Check your message requests if you don't see it. Let me know if you miss it, something like that. Show publicly that you're following up on that. That public proof is really important. And then in your DM response, and again, this depends on the CRM you're using and how robust the capabilities are, but often you can follow up from that as well. So for instance, on mine, we can put up to 4 like additional calls to action, like here's your blank. And then visit the website for more information or book a consult with me. I can put like 4 different things in there that will further engage that lead or that user. So utilize all of that to your advantage, as much automation as possible. That's what I preach all of the time. The more hands-off you can be on this, it's providing more touch points for this user, which is great. And it's taking the work off of you. And then success metrics. So here are the things you kind of want to look for. Comment depth, the amount of people that engage with it or comment is really important. Your DM conversions, the amount of people that actually ask for the keyword or DM you that keyword is important. And then the save rate. And I've broken this down based on how Facebook kind of favors it. So comment depth is about 40% that they're looking for, DM conversion about 25%, and then your save rate about 15%. Those are the metrics that are going to push your content to the top. And so my pro tips here are, I always say test these, right? Like see what works with your audience. So my tips for testing are try shorter versus longer. Try like 4 comments versus 7 comments. See which favors better with your audience. Try putting your call to action at the top and at the bottom. See if you get any better engagement that way. And then try tracking all of the comments, the DMs, and see what tracks the best. Every audience is different. You know your audience the best, but ultimately how they interact in the algorithm is what's going to be important to Facebook. So keep those in mind as you trial and error these and see, it's entirely possible that your audience won't respond well to a post like this. And if you try over a couple of weeks and you don't see the engagement you want, scrap it and keep what works, right? But overall, these are performing really well. I think they're valuable. You can get a lot of information into one post. And then, real quickly, I'm going to show you how you can pre-schedule these, including the comments. My caveat is it really does perform better if you do it live. And that's because you're kind of spacing out the comments instead of dumping them all at once. If we're scheduling them, this will dump them all at once. So if you're producing a large volume of content, this may be the best way to go about it. But I would try both, right? Like try scheduling it and try it live and see which performs better. But let me switch over to Meta Business Suite and I'll show you where and how you could schedule these. So you're going to want to go to Meta Business Suite to do this and go to content. And then when you're in content, this is where you'll start by just creating your post. So create post. Obviously, you could use a photo. You don't have to. These often work best just text-based, so you don't have to. So let's say, hypothetically, this hero text is what my 5-step system for Facebook visibility, something like that, right? Like that's my hook. Get each step below. And then, right, like this is my hero post. This is all it is, right? Now you're going to schedule. So that's the key here is you have to schedule this in advance to obviously to schedule it. So let's hypothetically set this for Saturday. Obviously, if it doesn't have a photo, it's not going to work on Instagram, but we will pretend like it does. So we'll do schedule for Facebook right here. You're actually just going to click into this, open it over here. And now you've got this comment button right here. So this is where now it's pre-scheduled. It shows it's going to go out September 20th, but I could come in here and put like 1 through 5, step 1, right? And then schedule. And then I do it again, 2 through 5, step 2, schedule. So you can just keep doing that. See, it's going to reorder them. There's nothing you can do about that. Even if I tried, and I have tried to do them backwards to forwards, it will still scramble them. So don't drive yourself nuts trying to get them in order, just label them. But this is how you could pre-schedule it. So again, test this, try it, see if scheduling versus doing it live makes a difference with your audience. But this is one way you can kind of get ahead of it if that works with your algorithm. So I will switch off of that now and that to here. And then open up for any questions. That's kind of the extent of the content. So if anybody has questions, anything you want to ask, anything you want me to show you in terms of scheduling, I'm happy to do that. So yeah, feel free.
I don't think any questions from me today. Thank you for showing up. I hope you feel
Awesome.
better and stop coughing soon. I know it's so hard to like get the last little bit to go away.
It is. I am like going on a week now and I'm so done with it. So yes, hopefully I'm almost through it. So cool.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, cool. So that's it for today. Next week, we're going to go through carousels and kind of the slide architecture of how to keep people moving through those. And those are going to be applicable for both Facebook and then also LinkedIn because carousels are performing really, really well on LinkedIn right now as well. So I will see everyone next week and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
All right. Sound good. Take care. Feel better.
Right.